Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where people can't seem to tell the difference between a customer and an employee. And guys, in today's episode, a crazy Karen unknowingly messes with an officer's daughter. Guys, the story is just too crazy. I hope you enjoyed the other ones as well, and do remember to hit that subscribe button for future stories. So a few weeks ago, I was woken up by a phone call at about 5:13 a.m. by some snotty woman who called the wrong number, demanding I work the weekend when I don't even work for them. And this is how the phone call went down. At 5:13 a.m., the phone wakes me up and I say, "Hello?" On the other end, it's a woman and she says, "This is Terry. Lucy, you have to work this weekend." Now me, trying to grasp reality as my brain is still sleeping and I don't know any Lucy or this caller Terry says, "Hey Terry, you dialed the wrong number." I then hang up the phone and almost drift back asleep when it rings again and I stupidly answer it. Terry then says, "Hang up on me again and I will fire you. If you don't work the weekend, you will find another job." Now, I'm pretty annoyed that this person didn't take the "you've got the wrong phone number" seriously, so I decide to say, "Okay, Terry, if you want me in, it's overtime Saturdays, double time Sundays, and I want this in writing, or I will not come in." Now, I figured that this would end the call, and I could go back to sleep, but I was dead wrong. I had to listen to Terry give me some stupid spiel on company policy for full-timers and open ability. I then cut her off mid-sentence and say, "Terry, I could care less about company policy. You want me to work the weekend, you are paying me what I require, and you are putting this in writing. Also, because you annoyed me by waking me twice, I will now only work double time Saturday and triple time Sunday. Take it or leave it." Before she could get a word out, I say, "Oh, and don't forget, I'm paid $15 an hour. That means $30 an hour on Saturdays and $45 an hour on..." Now, I never got to finish saying Sunday because this is what happened next. Terry then interrupts me and says, "What? I don't even make $15 an hour. Why the heck do you make $15 an hour?" So the next thing I know, I hear her yelling and attracting other staff. I can hear yelling in the background saying, "Why the heck does Lucy make $15 an hour at Small Tart? Everyone's only getting paid $9. And of course, others in the background heard, and I could hear the commotion with one girl saying, "Lucy's getting $15 an hour? How?" At this point, I could no longer make out who was saying what, other than Terry telling someone that I refuse to come in unless I get overtime, which is when some guy takes over the call. He says, "This is Bill, the general manager. Lucy, what's this about you not coming in unless you get overtime? And where the heck are you getting $15 an hour from?" I say to him, "If you want me in, those are my terms. Stop calling and waking me." I can then hear Bill in the background with all the commotion saying, "That doesn't sound like Lucy, it sounds like a guy." To which I say, "For that insult, it's now triple time the entire weekend. Do we have a deal?" Click. It was at this point my wife wakes up and asks me what that's all about. I told her that was work calling me to let me know I had the weekend off. I go back to bed. Guys, I love this story, and all I can think of is poor Lucy. She's gonna come into work with everybody thinking that she's getting paid $15 an hour. Like, hopefully the GM sorted that situation out and told everybody that it was the wrong number, and that Terry got trolled. So I've recently gotten married. We both work third shift, working from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., Monday through Friday, and off on Saturday and Sunday. I was so grateful we both have the same shift. I work as a caregiver and my husband works for a company called Glovis. Usually I'll drive us to my client's home and he'll take the car to his job, and then he'll come pick me up. On this particular Saturday morning, hubby and I needed to go to Wally World, and we decided to go before we head home. And I'm sure a lot of people have been like that. So we need to get a few groceries and need to get some things for the living room. Now I will say, hubby's uniform is very similar to the uniform of Wally World. Navy blue shirt, khaki or black pants, and neon yellow vest. The only difference is his navy blue shirt actually has the word Glovis on it, and I'm not sure about them wearing steel-toed boots. So we've been inside Wally World for a good 10 minutes, being funny with each other and going through the list. I forget we passed an aisle that had an item on the list, and I tell hubby to go on with the cart and that I'll be right back. Now, something about me is I usually go down the aisle 2 or 3 times if I can't find that specific item. So I go down the aisle about 3 times, slowly making sure that I didn't skip over it. Suddenly, I hear a long, husky screech. Now I didn't think anything of it and kept looking for the item until I felt my phone vibrate. A quick text from my husband saying to get over there quickly. Okay, now I'm worried. I forget the item and go looking for my husband. I find him several aisles down with a woman all in his face. Now, one thing I will say about my husband is when it comes to a woman in his face, he lets me handle them. And I let him handle men in my face. So I'm walking over to him and I hear her saying, "Help me already, it's your job. Don't make me call a manager and get you fired." Now my husband's constantly trying to tell her that he doesn't work there, trying to unzip his vest to show her the word Glovis. And she's not having it. She gets louder, and that's when I stepped in and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I help you? What's the problem here?" The woman rants on, how he, a Walmart employee, won't help her, and she needs help, but he ignored her and he's very unprofessional. She then took one look at me in my uniform and scrubs and says, "What am I telling you for? You don't work here. Go find me a manager." That's when I look at her and say, "What Walmart employee are you implying to, because I don't see one here." Her attitude then gets so big that I thought she was gonna blow that whole building. The woman is saying that none of us will help her because she asked him to help her in the store and then she asked me to find her a manager. And I'm thinking, first off, you old nanny goat, you didn't ask me to do anything. You told me to get you a manager like I was your child. So while I was trying to tell her that my husband doesn't work there, she has the nerve to tell me these exact words. She says, "If you was to stop living off us taxpayers and taking welfare, you'd be able to do what you were told when asked. And don't you stand up for him just because he's handsome. He's not gonna be your next baby daddy." Now hearing what she said, I'm thinking, oh no. I tried to be polite with you, but you just crossed the line. How dare you go from talking about me being on welfare to calling my husband handsome and saying that he won't be my next baby daddy? It's time for me to lay into her. So I say to her, "Listen here, you long neck, ashy ankle, neck bone eating, pig feet slurping, head looking like Stewie Griffin idiot. First of all, this handsome man is my husband. Notice the rings on our hands. Second of all, we were both trying to tell you that he doesn't work for Walmart. His shirt clearly says Glovis, but I don't think you passed second grade. And third, where do you get off assuming that I'm on welfare? You don't know anything about me." So after I say that, she's standing there crying and asking me if I gave a damn. I surely didn't. So finally, an employee comes up and asks what happened. And you know how these Karens are. They tell what they want instead of the whole story. She told the employee that she asked my husband for help, and out of nowhere, I threatened her because she was talking to him. I didn't even have to say a word. Multiple witnesses came up and defended me and my hubby. And just like that, the waterworks stopped because she noticed that she didn't have the audience she was looking for. I told the man I'm sorry for going off the way I did, but she's not about to disrespect my husband or I, especially since she doesn't know either of us. We just want to finish our shopping and go home. We're tired and we just got off work. He then lets us go and he keeps her there. You can hear her yelling more, but it's fading as we walk away. Now mind you, he didn't say a word while I was handling her. He did hold me back from wanting to knock her out though. Gotta love that man. Wow guys, honestly, I would cry too if some random person ripped into me the way OP did that Karen. Guys, I laughed so hard when I read she called her all of those things, and I'm still trying to picture a Stewie Griffin head on top of a long neck. Like, what a creative bunch of words strung together, and I can feel that insult from here, guys. Ouch. So this happened to my neighbor / best friend and me today. A little background important to the story. We're both redheaded women, and we both work for the same law enforcement department. She's my boss. I generally work nights, and she works days. We were both told to take today off after working 3 36-hour shifts, with only a few hours of sleep between, because we were dealing with panic from a certain virus. Since we both needed stuff, my friend and I go grab her 2 kids, and head for a certain store that's a local chain that's something like a slimmed-down Walmart. The uniform of their employees is black slacks, a white polo, and an apron that varies by department. Now my friend is dressed in flats, casual pants, and a white button-down over a cami and her vest. I'm in blue jeans, knee-high boots, and a department t-shirt over my vest. In other words, nothing like the store's uniform. Plus, we have belts with handcuffs, guns, and holsters. So we're in the store for about half an hour. I'm pushing one cart, and her kid is pushing the other, while my friend is holding her other one in one arm and pulling things off the shelf with the other. Suddenly, we hear a loud crash and a scream in the next aisle. My friend passes kid 2 off to me, telling me to watch her, and then heads over to the next aisle. She barely makes it around the corner when I hear her call for me. I set her daughter down and tell her to wait with her brother and come around the corner, and here's the sight I see. I see a young woman, her head slightly bleeding, trying to free herself from the grasp of a crazy blonde lady, probably roughly in her late 30s or 40s, while a man and a few kids look on. The crazy lady then looks up at my friend and immediately says, "Oh good, are you the manager of this store? This lazy bitch refuses to help me. I want her fired." She then jerks the young woman so hard that the young woman runs into the shelves, cutting herself a second time. My friend says to her, "Ma'am, let her go. I don't think she works here." To which the woman says, "What do you mean you don't think she works here? Don't you know your own employees? What kind of dumb effing manager are you?" My friend looks at me, I look at my friend, and then look back at the crazy lady and say, "I'd say she knows her employees pretty well. However, that lady doesn't work for the store. She's not even wearing the uniform." The crazy lady then spouts off, "Tell your effing security grunt to be silent." It was at this point one of her kids says, Mama, I don't think she's security." The woman then screams at her kid and says, "Shut up, Marco. Can't you see Mama's talking to the manager?" My friend says to her, "Ma'am, I'm not the manager." She then points to the store manager, who's now hurrying over, and says, "He is. Now let go of that girl and I won't ask you again." She then starts reaching for her handcuffs, and the woman says, "You white folks are all the same, racist and sticking up for each other." Now I thought that was rather ironic, considering that crazy Karen was paler than I was, and that's saying something. At that moment, my friend's daughter comes running around the corner and asked, "Hey, is it okay if I..." At that very moment, the crazy lady finally lets go of the terrified and injured girl, and then she grabbed and pushed my friend's daughter, flinging her halfway down the aisle, while screaming, "You stupid brat! Wait your turn, you stupid little..." And at that moment, the crazy lady stopped talking as she ricocheted off the shelves. My friend screams, "Don't you ever touch my daughter again." She then tried to handcuff the crazy lady. At this point, the man that had been standing with the kids tries to grab onto my friend and winds up taking a knee to the groin for his trouble. The crazy lady then takes advantage of the moment. She pushes my friend off, grabs a jar off the top shelf to swing towards my friend's head, and she freezes when she realizes that I've drawn my weapon, and that's when her eyes go wide. She then screams at me, "I'll call corporate and have you fired for this." I guess the crazy lady didn't see anything wrong with having a weapon herself and trying to use it. But somehow someone else with a weapon stopping her from potentially killing someone else is a bad thing. Her little boy screams, "Mama, I've been trying to tell you, they don't work here. That lady's police. Look at her shirt." The lady then looks down at my shirt, and she definitely got that look people get when they realize that they're in serious trouble. Now, I wish I could say the fight left her then. Instead, as she was Mirandized, she kept insisting that she had done nothing wrong, that she was being entrapped by the police. The woman was clearly on something. After that, the crazy lady and the man that tried to grab my friend were cuffed. They were then given their rights and sat on the floor. The manager helped me watch over the two while my friend went and checked on her daughter. We then waited on someone who's actually on duty and for medics to arrive. The entire thing took maybe 5 minutes from start to finish. The young woman that was first assaulted had to go to the hospital to be checked out, and the poor girl was really scared that she was going to catch the virus at the hospital. My friend's daughter had her arm broken, and she also had to go to the hospital. The man and kids turned out to be her boyfriend and their children. The crazy lady and boyfriend are now in jail for the foreseeable future since courts are closed. Crazy lady's kids are going to social services. The boyfriend was still in the process of applying for his green card. Now he probably can't get it and may be facing deportation at the end of this. Since the injured girl, my friend and I couldn't finish our shopping, the manager takes our list and promised us that everything would be delivered to our houses tomorrow. And before anybody asks, we're not required to wear the vests off duty, but most of us do. As for why we have our guns and badges while shopping with kids, in our department, certain ranks are required to carry weapons, badges, and handcuffs while off duty. Oh, and this whole thing apparently started because the store was out of toilet paper, and the crazy lady decided that the girl stocking up on pickles must be an employee. Guys, what a freaking insane story. I've read a lot of crazy ones, but this was the most action-packed that I've read in a while. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people at the beginning of this whole virus thing go friggin' crazy in stores. Do you guys remember that? When grocery store shelves were empty, nobody knew what the heck was going on, and everybody decided that toilet paper was the best thing to stock up on. Like, it's actually crazy to believe that this story was posted 2 years ago, right? Time friggin' flies. In my day job, I've been working from home for the entire pandemic period. We're in the planning stages to finally move back to the office soon. To that end, I was tasked along with a couple of management type people to head over to the grocery store to price out supplies for a welcome back event at the office. Now for context, the dress code for workers at the store incorporates a white dress shirt, black khaki pants, and a black name tag on the chest. Those who are still masked wear a black mask with the store logo prominently displayed on the cheek. None of us office workers were dressed in any way remotely resembling this, but we were all carrying clipboards to take notes for later, hence the confusion. So that's when Karen arrived, and without even a greeting, she starts with her demands saying, "Hey, you guys are out of this. I need you to go get some from the back." To which I say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I know I'm carrying a clipboard, but I don't actually work here. You can tell any employee from how they're dressed, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help you." Now, of course, Karen did not find this acceptable. She says, "I don't find this acceptable. You either help me this instant, or go get your manager, who will then fire you, and help me." My boss happened to be nearby down the aisle, so I flagged her over saying, "You want to talk to my manager? Here she is." And I stepped aside. Immediately, Karen lays into her saying, "You really need to train your employees better. This man," accompanied by a finger jab to my chest, "is refusing to help me. You need to review his employment status and then get me what I need." Now, my boss ignores Karen's request and says to me, "Hey, OP, did you get a second job at this store without telling me?" I answered, "Nope, I still work for you, not for them." My boss then says, "Okay then, carry on. I'm sure this lady can find a store worker to help her." Now, a thing about my boss is she's on the smaller size, physically. Additionally, although she's in her mid-30s, she happens to look legitimately like a 12-year-old. Karen, on the other hand, has reached red-hot status and has now found herself a second target. She screams, "Un-effing believable. I can't believe the disrespectful little kids they let into the store. You are gonna help me right now, or I'm gonna report you directly to the owner, who goes to my church." Now that's when my other boss rounds the corner, witnesses the situation, and immediately figures out what's going on. Now, one thing to know about my second boss is that her physical characteristics, she's pretty much the opposite of my first boss. She's 6 feet tall, she's very solidly built, and she doesn't walk so much as she lumbers. She's also ex-military, and she's fully trained to take charge in a wartime situation. Short version, this woman knows how to effectively take up the ample space she's been given. Now, she wanted to flex her authority. She then walks up behind Karen and asks her in her best command voice, "Hey, is there a problem here?" Karen takes on a smug facial expression as if to say, "Finally, I found somebody competent." And then she turns around, takes a look at my second boss in her mountainous position directly behind her, and I can see her face lose its smugness, and the only sound she can manage is a half-surprised, half-terrified squeak. My second boss then says to her, "These people have told you already that they don't work here. Now I suggest you walk away right now, perhaps even leave the store before things get a little more uncomfortable for you. Are we in agreement here?" Hearing that, Karen starts moving rapidly away in a manner that I can only describe as scampering. I suspect she actually did leave the store because her face suggested that she was unable to coexist in the same space as her abject embarrassment. The three of us were able to finish our party planning and make it out of the store without further incident. And now my story is all told, and what a story that was, guys. I love it when a Karen gets shut down. And OP's second boss leaving her speechless by her presence is so satisfying. So this story takes place at a bakery where you basically serve yourself. You grab a tray and tongs, choose from the cases, and then go to the counter to pay. There's a huge sign instructing you to serve yourself. It's not rocket science. So this morning, I stopped by on the way to work to pick up some pastries to share with my coworkers. Now, the bakery doesn't have the same things every day, so I was standing in front of a bakery case with my tray and my tongs, deciding on what to buy. At this point, in walks a lady who was talking on her cell phone. I think my mistake was acknowledging her and smiling. I should know better. She then points towards the case with the fruit Danish and said, "Hey, I'll take a dozen of those, just an assortment of flavors." And of course, before answering her back, she went back to her phone while wandering up to the register. So I figured if she didn't have time for me, I don't have time for her. I then walked to the case as far away from the Danish as I could get, choose an assortment from the pastries for myself, and then walked up to the counter to pay. At that point, the lady at the counter was sort of rolling her eyes because the phone lady hadn't taken a breath or even acknowledged her. So I set my pastries down, and she starts to ring them up and bag them for me. And that's when the phone lady finally pays attention, most likely for the first time this year, and sees that there's no Danishes on my tray. Her mouth dropped open to say something, and then slammed shut just as quickly because I think she noticed the debit card in my hand. And then the strangest thing happened. She got even more interested in her phone call. The woman sort of backed away from the counter, and she positioned herself so she was facing the corner of the room, almost like she'd put herself in a timeout. It was super weird, and the cashier and I just sort of gave each other what the heck looks. Now it is a Monday, so I'm not gonna lie, and I was really grateful it wasn't a bad ordeal. And wouldn't it be nice if all Karens punished themselves in a similar manner? Opie is totally right. Imagine how peaceful the world would be, guys. Just a bunch of Karens putting themselves in timeout when they realized they were wrong. But they'd have to admit they were wrong in the first place, so no Karens would be standing in any corners, right? And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /IDontWorkHereLady. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's crazy stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you missed yesterday's episode on the channel, Opie's neighbor steals her dog to teach her a lesson. And the dogs end up teaching her a lesson. It's such a funny story, so go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.